Am I live? I don't know. There I am. I'm live. Outstanding. How are you? I'm Uncivil Law. Hope you're having a great day. I'm having a great day. Everything is fantastic as YouTube continues to sometimes play games with me and not show me what's happening and stuff and things. We are tuning into this doctor-wife murder trial in the great Commonwealth that is Massachusetts. Massachusetts doctor Ingolf Tuerk is facing felony murder charges for allegedly murdering his wife, Kathleen McLean, in May 2020. The couple was reportedly in a rocky relationship that led frequently to fighting. Tuerk allegedly strangled McLean to death in their home, and then apparently disposed of her body in a pond because that's where her body was found, which doesn't sound like the best choice. It doesn't, I mean, it doesn't sound like the best choice. Like, let me just throw my wife's body into a pond. I'm sure no one will notice. I think we could do better, guys. I think we could do better. And I'm starting a school pretty soon on true crime about ways to dispose of bodies and evidence and stuff. We're going to have a whole lecture. That'd be good. Actually, I'm just going to do it as a paywall website thing. We're going to have a login. You know, it's going to be one of those courses that you do online that, you know, that you can sign in. It's going to be like a 10-part course or something. And the 10-part course will be like how to get away with murder and, you know, clean up crime scenes and shit. And we'll give good tips for the good doctors who don't know, like, don't just put your wife's body into a pond. That's not the optimal choice. We can do better. We have the technology. So let's see where we are. And I need to figure out how to, okay. All right, so we got the clock on screen, outstanding. And we're just gonna start this morning's stream. Clock is best clock. Clock is sexy clock. All right, so let's see. We need to change this, change this, change this. Great. All right, let's see what we got. I think my audio the thing is still at 2x, which is not going to work for us.
The record before the court is Commonwealth versus Ingolf Tuerk, 20 CR 138. The parties are present. The jury is not present. The matter is on for trial.
Okay, good morning.
Good morning, Your Honor.
Good morning, Mr. Reddington.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was just distracted.
So, just with respect to scheduling, so we'll break around.
He put rocks in her yoga pants. I assumed that was some sort of euphemism. I thought when you said that, they put rocks in his yoga pants. I thought you were trying to make some sort of sexual joke. That was literally his plan. He put rocks in her yoga pants. Okay.
One today, if we go a few minutes later, so be it. And then Monday, we will also, that's the 31st, we'll break it 1. April 1st, I believe we can do more of a full day, if that works for all of you. Yep. And then we can wait to see about April.
I mean, at least get some chains from Home Depot and then put some like 45-pound barbell weights, you know, thread the chain through the barbell weights and then wrap the person in the chain and do that. I mean, you know, put a little effort in, people.
April 2nd, which is the Wednesday. As you know, we're off the 3rd and the 4th, Thursday and Friday of next week. And then we have to start a little bit later on the 7th. I have a medical appointment on the 7th in the morning that I cannot change, so we'll start.
The pond was on his property? The pond was on his property? So they found the wife's body in the pond with rocks in her yoga pants. Yeah, he did it.
9:30, maybe 10 o'clock on the 7th, and we'll see if we can.
Didn't anyone teach that guy not to shit in his own backyard? I mean, seriously, damn.
Perhaps go into the afternoon a little bit. All right, anything else?
We have booties. I don't remember.
I'm sorry?
We have booties for people to put on when they get to 29 Valley Road.
I see, okay.
I'm hoping that we can enter through the garage, and then people can either remove their shoes.
I want some booties. Who do I contact? Do I contact the Commonwealth of Massachusetts? I'd like some booties, please.
Or put the booties on as
Sure.
they would like.
Sure. All right, can I see council sidebar?
Big booties. You got big booties, baby. Holy shit. We're off to a good start already, man. Near his property, not on his property, marginally better. How near? Was it like the closest pond to his house? I'm guessing the answer is yes. Did I follow yesterday? No, I didn't follow yesterday. This is all a new thing for me. He already admitted to it? Okay, so if he's admitted to it, what is the defense? Is the defense I didn't do it despite the confession, or is his defense like insanity? What exactly is his defense he's going for? What is the defense's theory here? Is it that like she died? Is the theory like she died of natural causes and that it was just improper disposal of a corpse? That'd be good. She hit him first. I didn't mean to do it. Defense is he committed manslaughter, not murder. Okay, good luck with that plan. All right, great. Crime of passion as opposed to premeditated. Okay, fair enough, I guess. All right, so he's just arguing it. He got a little out of control. Okay. All right, fair enough. Well, I mean, to his credit, rocks in the yoga pants in a pond near his house doesn't exactly scream premeditated to me. It's not exactly like he gave it some thought, because I think he could have done better. So, yeah, man, I buy manslaughter. Yeah, I buy it. I'm in. Let's go. Stop. The rock can't stop. The rock, you gotta stop. The rock can't
Ingolf,
find the
Tuerk,
rock.
20 CR 138. The parties are present. Our 16 jurors are present. The matter is on for trial.
All right, good morning, jurors. Thank you for being prompt. A couple of things. First, was everybody able to follow the instructions that I gave you at the end of the day yesterday?
Yes.
Okay. Anybody who was not, raise your hand. No hands are being raised. We always like to see that. I know a couple of jurors had expressed to the court officer that there was a glare on the screen. They had difficulty seeing the screen. So what we're going to do is try to, while we're out on the view, try to make some adjustments so you can see it better. Please keep in mind that anything that's marked as an exhibit, you'll get with you in the deliberation room. Just keep that in mind. Also, to the extent we can move your chairs down a little bit, we're going to do that so you can be a better vantage point of the witnesses who are testifying. Okay. Let me just update you on the schedule as well. So we're going to go on the view this morning. I'll give you a brief instruction about what that is in just a minute or so. We're going to come back and we're going to go until 1 o'clock or thereabouts today, maybe a few minutes after that, and then we're going to break for the weekend. Monday, we're going to have a half day again, which means that we're going to go from 9 until approximately 1. Tuesday may be more of a full day, so that means it may be 9 to 4:30, and then we'll talk about Wednesday, but that's for your planning purposes. To remind you, we are not sitting Thursday, April 3rd, or Friday, April 4th, so if you have obligations to tend to those days, you certainly may do so, and then I'll give you an update on the schedule as I promised I would once we get into Monday and Tuesday of next week. Okay? So let me just tell you what the view is. So
It's a crappy TV show with a bunch of women who have stupid opinions.
which you will be
Oh,
hearing
you meant something
testimony
else.
about during this
That's my
trial.
mistake.
You may have heard some testimony already about these locations. In court terminology, we call this taking a view. The purpose of the view is to help you better understand the evidence that you will hear during the trial and to help you appreciate the locations and their.
All right, so they did a view this morning, so we can skip past that as I try to find where they court picked up for the afternoon. Today was boring. People told me there were fireworks today. Did people lie to me? They told me there were fireworks today. They said it was spicy. Is it not spicy? I'm up for spicy. Do we need to go to yesterday? I don't know. What are we doing now? I've been deceived, bamboozled, tricked.
Please be seated. Court is now in session. Turn off your cell phones, please.
Okay, we could have
Yesterday was
witness
spicy?
back, please.
We could go to yesterday if we prefer. You want to watch yesterday instead? It was a nothing burger today? All right. I don't want to watch a nothing burger. Let's just watch yesterday instead. Screw it. Let's just watch yesterday. Yesterday, life seems so far away. Now I know it's here to stay. Oh, I believe in yesterday. Suddenly, I'm not half the man I used to be. Shadow hanging over me. Oh, yesterday came suddenly. Why she had to go, I don't know. Might have something to do with the rocks in the pond. Crap song? Okay, well we got some credit. We got some critics over here in chat.
Let's come over, son.
Ready?
That is a nice clock. I want that clock in my life. Today? But today's boring. I'm being pulled by chat. Moderator, help me out. Moderator, what should we do here in terms of yesterday versus today? What makes most sense? I'm interested in some spicy, I suppose, would be what I'm interested in. It's only half days. Well, I mean, that's true. Do a poll. Yesterday, 100%. Okay, we'll stick with 100. We all already watched yesterday, but I didn't watch yesterday. And isn't the reason that you want me to watch it so that I react to the stupid and funny and make fun comments and stuff? Right? So the more interesting it is, the more I can get fun comments and stuff. It's like, was it good enough to watch twice? Would you mind indulging me? I haven't seen this movie yet.
And the defendant at the bar.
Explain the legal rules, statements. As it is up to you. The Commonwealth has proved the charge during the trial. Please let it be a just verdict. Okay, thank you, jurors. It's now time for opening statements.
Let's
I'm going to turn it
go.
over to Ms. Beatty.
All right, prosecutor. Tell me a tale. Paint me a story.
But she is a vindictive devil. I am really sorry, brother, but she manipulated us all.
Yeah.
Love you, Harry. That's the text message that Kurt Pfannenstiel received when he woke up in the early morning hours of Friday, May 15th, 2020. Immediately distressed, Kurt contacted another friend of Katie and Harry. The defendant goes by Harry as well as Ingolf, and shared the text message with her. Vanessa Pettigrew was also concerned, so she drove to Katie's home at 29 Valley Road in Dover to look for Katie. She called, she texted, no Katie. Vanessa knew that there was a court order that prohibited Dr. Tuerk from living at 29 Valley Road, and so then he was staying in a hotel. So she found the hotel in Dedham, and she drove there. She found the two cars that the defendant and Katie shared parked outside. No Katie. She contacted family. She contacted friends. And I expect you'll hear that Stephen Rocca, who is Katie's ex-husband and the father of her 3 children, contacted...
Yeah, this is boring. Yeah, this is boring. I agree. This lady is monotone. I'm having a very difficult time listening to her. This is supposed to be a murder trial, right? And she's supposed to be trying to tell me this guy's a murderer, right? And there's like no passion in her voice at all. And I know it might be bad form, but I'm going to do it anyway. I'm going to comment on her look. I'm sorry. It's frumpy. She's got this sweater on and she looks frumpy. And her voice is frumpy. Yeah. Skip. I was hoping they were going to tell me a tale about this murder, and I don't even know what's going on. I'm so confused. All right, we'll skip the opening statements because they're of no value, I guess. And we'll skip to the first witness and see if that gets us anywhere. So this case, something, pawn, something. I don't know.
Slide.
Thank you.
There you go.
Your Honor, may I inquire?
May.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning.
Could you please state your full
Marriage is a sacred tradition.
name, spelling your last name for the record?
Vanessa Irene Pettigrew.
Could you please, oh, I'm sorry.
TTIGREW.
What is your date of birth?
7/15/1983.
Do you work?
I do.
What do you do for work?
I'm a quality improvement specialist.
What does that entail?
I do quality improvement projects for hospitals, for community health centers, and for community members.
I'm still no wiser. What does that mean?
I live in Wellesley, Massachusetts.
Are you familiar with Kathleen McLean?
Yes, I am.
Did she also go by Katie?
Yes.
When did you meet Katie?
I met Katie in 2015, and prior to that, I had met her on an informal basis.
How did you meet her in 2015?
I became a client of hers. I was referred to her from a friend.
So when you say a client, what do you mean?
She's a Reiki practitioner.
Could you please explain to us what a Reiki practitioner is?
Yes, I'm actually also a Reiki practitioner.
Oh, dear.
And I studied 2 other different modalities as well.
I'm about to be sold on a
And it's an
scam.
energy therapy that helps people with wellness. It helps them with calming and overall sense of great well-being. It's
Okay. So she's a scam artist. Okay. All right. Fair enough. All right. What else?
a modality that has been proven in studies to show to be effective in PubMed, and it's readily researchable now.
Uh-huh.
So when you met Katie in 2015, she was practicing Reiki?
Yes, she was.
Where was she doing that?
She was doing that in her practice in Marlborough, her office.
Did Katie have any children when you met her?
Yes, Katie has 3 children.
So I guess I should back up a little bit. You met Katie when you were a client of hers while she was doing Reiki.
Yes.
Did your relationship continue outside of Reiki?
Yes, I actually had maybe 1 or 2 sessions with her, and then I felt comfortable from there on taking things on my own, and we became really good friends and actually sort of an apprentice at one point. So we had a very close relationship.
Okay. And you said when you met Katie, she had 3 children?
Yes.
Was she married at the time that you met her?
Yes, she was married at the time I met her.
Who was she married to?
She was married to Chris Foley.
Is Chris Foley the father of her children?
No,
Who is?
that is Stephen Rocca.
So
And where was she living when she
she's an
married,
adulteress.
was married to Chris Foley?
So the victim is an adulterous whore? All right. Well, all right. That's okay. Great. Moving on.
She was living in Sudbury.
Did her children live with her?
Yes, they did.
At some point, did she divorce Chris Foley?
Yes, she did.
Where did she live after that?
She lived in Sudbury in her own home.
Who did she live with?
She lived with her 3 children.
And are you familiar with Ingolf Tuerk?
Yes, I am.
How did you meet him?
I met Harry through Katie around November.
So you said Harry. Is that how
Yes.
you knew him?
Yes, his nickname was Harry.
Okay. And you said that you met Harry through Katie, is that right?
That's right.
Had you been friends with Katie when she met the Mr. Tuerk?
Can you repeat that?
So you had been friends with Katie when she met the Mr. Tuerk, is that
I
right?
was friends with Katie much prior to meeting Mr. Tuerk. That's right.
How did they meet, if you know?
They met through online dating.
And do you see Mr. Tuerk in the courtroom?
Yes, I do.
Could you please identify him by an article of clothing?
Yes, he's wearing a blue tie.
Your Honor, could the record please reflect identification?
Yes.
How often did you communicate with Katie during your friendship with her?
Katie and I talked almost every day by text and by phone.
How often would you see her physically?
We got to be pretty close. We would see each other on weekends pretty often.
How much time did you spend with Katie?
I hate this woman. I hate this woman. Yeah.
and the defendant when they were together?
The same amount of time. It was nice. We watched football games together. We had really great cookouts and times together as friends.
How often do you think that you spent time with the two of them together?
At least a couple times a month.
Would you speak with the defendant separately from Katie?
I would, yes.
How often would you say?
Less. Our relationship was a little bit different. Katie and I were very close on multiple different ways. Harry and I became colleagues, and so we would talk mostly about work.
So can we talk a little bit about that? How did you and Harry become colleagues?
I applied to St. Elizabeth Medical Center as a surgical technologist, and I had a coworker that already worked there. Her name was Patricia McNamee, and she was the VP of Perioperative Services that I worked prior with her at Beth Israel. And so I applied there. I let Harry know I applied, and that's how the position started.
Why did you let Harry know when you applied to St. Elizabeth's?
Harry was a surgeon there.
And do you know in what field?
Yes, he was the chief of urology.
When did you?
Surgery department.
Oh, thank you. When did you get your job at St. Elizabeth's?
It was around 2018 that I recall.
Would you see Harry during your work shifts?
I saw him almost daily, if not face to face. I saw him working. He worked almost 4 days a week in surgery. And I was in the OR with him on occasion.
What?
How many times were you in the OR with him?
Off the top of my head, at
Who
least
let
20,
you in an
if not more.
OR?
And how was the defendant referred to while he was at work?
Most people called him Harry or Dr. Tuerk.
Who let you in an OR?
You stated that Katie was living in Sudbury after she had divorced Chris Foley. Is that right?
That's right.
Was she living there when she met the defendant?
Yes, she was. She had a lovely house in Sudbury.
At some point, did her living situation change?
Yes, she decided to move in with Ingolf Tuerk
Where was that?
in Dover, Massachusetts, on 26 Valley Road.
You said 26 Valley Road?
29 Valley Road. Sorry,
Thank you.
excuse me.
And who was living in the house at that time when Katie moved in?
When Katie moved in, Harry had his 2 children, and also Katie's children moved in as well.
Were the defendant's children living in the house full-time?
Part-time. Their mother lived in Dover as well.
I'm sorry, could you just repeat that?
The children that Harry had, mother
So,
lived in Dover as well.
so there was shared custody
She's
between
a-
the defendants.
She's a
children.
surgical tech. I thought she was a quality improvement specialist, whatever the fuck that means. Because they asked her, oh, what are you? A quality improvement specialist. Okay. And then she says, what is that? Then she says, well, I improve quality in hospitals. And I'm like, I'm none the wiser. I still don't know what that means. She's also a surgical tech. And she's also a Reiki practitioner. Is this woman the queen of the woo-woo people or what? When you say surgical tech, are we talking like, Western medicine surgery, or do you mean like surgery like, I just sort of wave my hands over you and mystic kind of thing? And that's the surgery. Is this surgery involving like knives and like, or is this surgery involving wishes and hopes and horses?
Is that right?
Yes.
When Katie moved into the defendant's home at 29 Valley Road, what was the status of their relationship? Were they married?
When they moved in?
Yes.
They were dating with the idea of getting engaged.
Did they get married?
Yes, they did.
When was that?
It was in December.
Were you at the wedding?
I was not. It was in Vegas.
How did that come about, if you know?
They had been talking about getting married for a long time in their relationship, and they had talked back and forth about getting married in Vegas a number of times. So on this occasion, it was just kind of a surprise for the family and all of us that they got married in Vegas. And, the kids got along really well, so it made sense at the time.
Were the kids at the wedding in Vegas, if you know?
Not that I know of.
So it was just the two of them that went on a vacation and ended up getting married.
Yep, private moment.
And after they got married,
She didn't invite her own kids to the wedding. Neat. I'm building a picture of this woman in my mind, and I have to say I'm not liking what I see. What is the over under by the end of this? I'm going to want to have killed the victim. Is it good? Because it feels like we're heading in that direction.
Did they continue to live at 29 Valley Road?
They did.
Turning your attention to February 3rd of 2020, did Katie obtain a 209A restraining order against the defendant?
Yes, she did.
As a condition of that restraining order, did the defendant have to leave 29 Valley Road?
Yes, he did.
Where did he go, if you know?
He went to first a colleague, a friend, Charles Lax. He went to another place in Dover, and then he eventually, I think, went to Florida to live with Bob from Stewart. He had a camper in Florida that he was staying in.
How often were you communicating with Katie at that point?
Pretty much daily.
How would you communicate with her?
Mostly by text and also by phone.
What types of things would you and Katie talk about?
We would talk about her day-to-day.
They got married in December 19 and got divorced in January 2020. Okay.
You know, the weather, we would talk about COVID, because it was COVID at the time. We would talk about anything and everything, fashion, nails, literally everything that a friend would talk.
We talked about everything. Fashion, nails, everything a friend would talk about. Yeah, that sounds about right. I wasn't really expecting that you were having deep conversations on philosophy, epistemology, politics. No, fashion and nails and other things that friends talk about.
To a good friend about her family, her kids. I feel like I knew the kids myself very well. Would she send me videos of the kids?
Would you talk about your relationships?
Yes.
And in February 3rd, or around February of 2020, after the defendant had moved out of the house, were they taking steps towards divorce, if you know?
They were, yes.
At some point in April of 2020, did that change?
Yes, there was a change. Harry had sent an email through his lawyer to reconcile.
And was Katie considering that?
She was going back and forth. She was uncertain, but conflicted. She had to weigh the pros and cons. She was very concerned about her children having a normal, stable life. She wanted the best for her kids. That's all she wanted.
And did they move towards reconciliation, if you know?
They did.
And how did that happen?
Like I said, Harry's lawyer reached out that he wanted to reconcile, and they started the process. I believe there was a prenuptial agreement, and there were several things that they had to decide upon with each other that they would do moving forward to make it work, including having Dr. Tuerk undergo some psychiatric help and to refrain from alcohol.
Excuse me. Sustained. Please disregard that. That last answer is stricken. Next question, please.
So when they began reconciliation or talking about reconciliation, where was Katie and her children living at that time?
Katie and her children were living in Dover.
And where was the defendant living?
He was living in a hotel in Dedham.
Prior to coming to the hotel in Dedham, where was he living, if you know?
As far as I know, he was living in Florida, and he had come up from that trip by car.
Did he drive himself, if you know?
Katie helped him.
And how is that?
He had some back pain, and he felt like he couldn't do the drive alone. So she, out of the kindness of her heart, obviously wanted to help him. And
maybe I'll go back and watch opening statement, but you know, I can't make everyone in chat happy. And someone said, you know, you should skip to the first witness, and so I did. And then people were like, go back. I mean, it's like it can't make everyone happy in chat at the same time. So maybe after this witness, we'll go back to opening statements. But I'm just trying to listen to what you guys are telling me. And right now, I'm wanting to kill the victim, even though she's already dead. And I'm also considering killing this woman and making the world a better place.
She drove to meet him halfway, and I believe Mr. Rocca also went as well to help make the transition of cars.
Mr. Rocca being the children's father, is that right?
That's right.
Okay. When the defendant came back from Florida and was staying in the hotel in Dedham, was Katie seeing him?
Can you repeat that?
When the defendant came back from Florida and was staying at that Dedham hotel, was Katie seeing him at that time?
Yes, she would bring him food. It was COVID. It was very difficult to get supplies and food, and she would supply him with his dinners or something to eat.
Was him coming to Dedham just another step in reconciliation?
Yeah, it was a way to safely try things out and to, maintain the relationship.
Turning your attention to May 15th of 2020, do you remember that day?
Yes, I do.
What happened?
I received a text message from our friend Kurt
What's Kurt's last name?
Fenesteel.
And what was the text message that you received?
I received a message believed to be from Harry, and he made a kind of alarming statement to Kurt, and we didn't really know exactly what it meant.
So I think I'm going to back you up just a little bit. Approximately what time was the first text message that you received from your friend Kurt?
It was around 8 o'clock in the morning.
Okay. And what was that first text message that you received, if you can recall?
I remember the context of the message. It basically said, "Sorry, brother," and said that Katie was a devil, and she manipulated everybody.
Prior to receiving that text message, did you receive another text message from Kurt?
I'm not sure which text you'd be referring to.
Is your memory exhausted as to the text messages that you first received from Kurt on May 15th of 2020?
Yes.
Okay. Would it be helpful to review your text messages?
Sure.
Thank you. Your Honor, these have been pre-marked as exhibits. Once I show the exhibit to the witness, may I display them on the screen?
Yes, no objection,
Thank
Mr.
you.
Reddington? You may.
And if you could just look at exhibit 147 to yourself and read it and let me know when your memory is refreshed, please.
Okay, I understand.
Okay. And what was that
Do
first
you?
text message that you
Do
received
you understand?
from Kurt?
He was asking me to call him as soon as possible.
And what else did he say?
He said we might have a popcorn situation.
What did that mean to you?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that? I didn't hear it. We might have a what situation?
We might have a popcorn situation.
Okay, thank you.
And what did that mean to you?
Objection. Overruled, she can answer it.
Popcorn was a code word if Katie needed anything from Kurt and I immediately, that we would be able to respond to her as soon as possible.
Ba 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 ba. Ba 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 ba. Ba 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 ba. Ba 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 ba. Ba 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 ba.
When you first got those two messages in the early morning hours of May 15th, how did you feel?
Objection.
I felt
Okay, next question.
Okay. Ms. Gilman, could you please put exhibit 147 on the screen? And if you could move up just a little bit.
There's a bit of a glare. Could we possibly turn the lights down a little bit? Is that better, Jared? Yeah. Okay, all right. Thank you.
And Ms. Gilman, if you could just move the screen down a little bit. Thank you. And Ms. Pettigrew, are those the two messages that you received from Kurt on May 15th?
yes, they are.
Okay. And did you receive a third text message from him?
Yes.
And what was the third text message that you received from him?
The third text message was a copy of a text from Harry.
And what did that text message say?
That text message said, "I'm sorry, brother. Katie's the devil, and she manipulated all of us."
Ms. Gilman, could you please move down to page 2? And there's a text message in green on page 2 of exhibit 147. Is that the text that you received from Kurt that morning?
Yes.
And what does it say?
"Kurt, I am sorry, brother.
If you need to refer to the exhibit in front of you, if that's easier to read, I know the screen is somewhat far away. I apologize for that.
Kurt, I am sorry, brother. But she is a vindictive devil. She played us all. I am really sorry, brother, but she manipulated us all. Love you, Harry."
After receiving that text message, what did you do?
After receiving this text message, I tried reaching out to Katie, and me and my husband, we got into the car and we tried to, the first thing we thought of was, and what I thought of was to check on the children.
And where did you go?
We went to the house at 29 Valley Road.
When you got to the house, what, if any, cars did you see there?
I didn't see any cars.
What did you do when you got to 29 Valley Road?
I rang and knocked on the front door several times. We didn't get an answer, so we got back in the car and we tried to find where Harry's hotel was.
How did you do that?
We knew it was in Dedham, and we just tried which hotel we thought it might be.
What happened while you were looking for the hotel that the defendant was staying at?
I was able to see the two cars from the home at the hotel, and I knew that that was the right location. There was a Jeep and a Mercedes parked there.
What did you do when you saw the Jeep and the Mercedes parked there?
I took a picture of both, and then I went inside, and
I'm going to stop you there. Ms. Gilman, could you please put exhibit 118 on the screen? You could just move, thank you very much. And looking at Exhibit 118, could you please describe what that is?
That is the Jeep that they had.
Is that the photograph you took when you went to the hotel in the early morning hours of May 15th?
Yes.
Ms. Gilman, could you please put Exhibit 117 up on the screen? Thank you. And what is depicted in this photograph?
A Mercedes.
And whose Mercedes is that?
That is also one of the family vehicles.
Was that in the parking lot in Dedham on the early morning hours of May 15th?
Yes, they were next to each other.
To your knowledge, who normally drove the Jeep?
Harry liked the Jeep, so Harry would drive the Jeep.
What about the Mercedes?
Often Katie would drive it, but they would occasionally switch up the vehicles.
When Harry was living in Florida, which car was Katie driving?
She was
If you know. If you don't remember, that's fine.
she was mostly driving the Jeep, but I don't recall which in particular.
Thank you. So you stated that you found the hotel in Dedham but when you found the vehicles in the parking lot. Is that right?
Yes.
After you snapped those two pictures that we just saw, what did you do?
I went in, and I'd like to remind everyone that it was COVID time, so it was a little bit awkward.
And when you say awkward, what do you mean?
People weren't supposed to be talking to each other, like gathering or anything like that, so it was just an awkward time for everyone. So to be like looking for someone and trying to find someone, it was just a little bit awkward. So I went up to the clerk at the front desk, and I asked if they could ring the room of Harry Tuerk.
And what happened then?
They rang the room multiple times and nobody picked up, and I was very frustrated. I couldn't reach my friend because I thought she was in there because the car was there. So then I went back to the house at 29 Valley Road, and I tried to make sure the kids were okay again for a second time, and I went to the side door, the glass door this time.
So you said that when you went to the hotel, you were sort of frustrated because you couldn't get in touch with your friend when they...
Harry liked the Jeep over the Mercedes. Between those two cars, I'd take the Jeep. I'll tell you what, man. That Mercedes looks like more like a minivan. The Jeep looks like more like a Jeep. So yeah, if you ask me which between those two would I pick, I'd probably pick the Jeep over the Mercedes. That's not a good Mercedes. That's a crap Mercedes. That's a suck Mercedes. I don't want that Mercedes. Yeah, that's yeah.
Ringing the room, is that right?
That's right.
Which friend are you referring to?
Also, I don't really particularly like Mercedes as a brand. I don't think they make particularly great cars, but that's just me. They used to way back in the day, but these days I find Mercedes to be even their sedans tend to be, what would I say? They tend to be like too safe. They're too they look like someone who doesn't really have a soul drives them. Mercedes are kind of boring. I'd rather have a BMW or an Audi over a Mercedes. Yeah.
Katie.
Were you trying to get in touch with her in any other way during this time period?
Yeah, phone calls, text messages. It was not like her.
I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
It was not like her to not answer repeated texts or phone calls.
And when you say phone calls, that would be to her cell phone, is that correct?
That's right.
Okay. So after you left the hotel when you could not find Katie, you said
they're
you returned
bland.
to 29 Valley Road,
They're
is that
bland.
right?
I did.
Then what happened?
I knocked on the side door, which was glass.
Boring.
And that
Yep.
leads into the kitchen. And I saw Sam there. And
Who's Sam?
Sam is her son.
Okay. And approximately how old was Sam at the time, if you know?
I don't remember. Maybe 13 around.
AMG's not too bad. The
And what happened
G-Wagon,
when you found Sam in the kitchen?
Yeah, I mean there are some exceptions to the rule. The G-Wagon's okay. I just think the G-Wagon is way overpriced. The G-Wagon is a good looking car. I just think it is massively more expensive than it should be. That car should be like half what that car costs, in my humble opinion. But I guess people buy them, so Mercedes can sell them for that price. I'd never buy it for that price. I tell you what, it's a fine looking car, but not for the kind of money they're talking about. You love it. You have a Jag? Not a big Jag fan either. Especially now with their rebranding. Yeah, Jag isn't doing it for me. Yeah, once Chrysler got involved in Mercedes. Yeah, well, at least at that point, yeah. When it was Chrysler Benz. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, you see, yeah, G-Wagon is way too expensive. It shouldn't cost anything like that. In my humble opinion, it's way too much money. Yeah. No, that's okay.
I think I startled him. I was frantically looking for his mom at that point, and I asked him for the phone number of his dad, and I also asked him if all the kids were in the house, and he said yes, they were upstairs.
Did you see
And
any
I
of the
know
other?
the G-Wagon is a tax write-off. That's not necessarily true, incidentally, by the way. There are a lot of people giving tax advice relating to G-Wagons. They're like, did you know you can write it off? A lot of those people are not giving necessarily good tax advice. I'm just going to say there's a lot of misinformation on this subject. Yeah. Well, we'll press on.
Children at that time?
I did not. They were upstairs, and my goal was to get the phone number for the dad and just make sure everybody was in the house.
So you said that you entered the house through the side door and you were in the
How is
kitchen.
it a tax write-off? The idea is that you can write it off as a business vehicle is what people are trying to do. They're trying to write it off as a business expense and say it's my business car, my company car. That's what they're trying to do. They're not doing it right most of the time. But yeah, so.
Is that right?
Yes.
Did you go in any other rooms in the house?
I did not.
Ms. Gilman, could you please place Exhibit 148 on the screen? And what is depicted in Exhibit 148?
That is the house at 29 Valley Road.
Your Honor, may I approach, please?
Yes.
I'm handing you a laser pointer,
Okay.
so you have to press this button. If you could please show the jury, you stated that you originally went to the front door. If you could just show us where the front door is located at 29 Valley Road.
I don't know if it's reaching.
It will, don't move it around, thank you.
This is the front door.
And when you returned the second time after you had been to the hotel, you said that you went to the side door? If you could just show us where that side door
The
is.
side door was over on this side.
And that led directly into the kitchen?
Yes.
Is the side door in between the garage and the house?
It was in the back. It was in the back of the house. Like they had a patio and things like that in the back. And on the patio deck, there was a sliding door that was glass.
Okay, so if, Ms. Gilman, if you could place Exhibit 149. So this door that's in between the garage and the home, that's not the door that you went in?
No, it wasn't. I did look through that door, but I went to the side door to meet Sam in the kitchen.
When you went to the sliding glass door, did you have to go through a fence or a gate or anything like that?
I don't remember if there's a gate that I went through, but I had to knock on the door because that was a locked door, and Sam opened it up.
Thank you. So you stated that you spoke with Sam and you were able to get Mr. Roca's phone number, is that right?
Yes.
What did you do at that time?
I had gone home, and I took a couple minutes to kind of gather myself and think about what to say to the father. And I told him that the kids were home alone, I couldn't find Katie, and I didn't know what was going on, but it would be a good idea to do a wellness check.
And at that point, did your conversation with Stephen Roca end?
I sent him the pictures of the two cars of where I thought they were, or where now I knew they were. And I had also, I think, sent the text from Kurt that made me more alarmed to think that they needed a wellness check.
And at that point, did you stay at your home after you had alerted Mr. Roca to the situation?
Yes, I did. I took a shower, and then I tried to kind of like look at places where Katie might have gone if she, just needed like some time by herself, where she might be.
At some point that evening of May 15th of 2020, did you go to the Dover police station?
I did.
Why did you do that?
By that time, Stephen had called me and told me that something was going on with Harry, that he was being brought out by an ambulance, and he was like, what is going on? And the Dover police had been involved, and the Dedham police had been involved at that point. And then the Dover police called us in for, Kurt and I, for a statement.
Did you give them anything else while you were at the Dover police station?
Yes, I gave them my phone because I thought it would help find Katie quicker.
And did you consent to an extraction of your cell phone?
I did.
Was that done to the best of your knowledge?
Yes.
I have no further questions.
Does anybody need to break jurors before cross-examination? Okay. All right, go ahead, Mr. Pennington. Probably towards the end. Would you agree with me that you and Ms. McLean communicated on a literally daily basis from 2014 to 15 up to 2020?
Roughly daily, I mean, yes.
And you'd agree with me that your communications on a daily basis would really pretty much consume most of the day?
messages you type? Morning you type, afternoon you type, late afternoon you type, evening, late evening.
Depend on what was going on. Obviously, we have jobs,
Right.
family matters,
So
activities.
how many texts do you believe over that period of time? Would you agree with me that 2014 or 15 that you first made contact with Ms. McLean?
Around 2015.
And from 2015 until 2020, would you agree with me that you had almost 12,000 pages of text messages between yourself and Katie?
I can't confirm how many pages. I've never seen them printed out.
Okay.
But there was a lot of text messages,
A lot of
yes.
text messages, yeah. And when the police were investigating this case in the very beginning, did they ask you to sign a document to
They
get
did.
access to your phone?
They did.
And did they seize your phone?
They did not seize my phone.
Did they look at it?
They did.
Did you have any text messages from yourself and Katie? From the 12,000 pages worth or one page? You had any text messages to include on your phone?
Yes, we had text messages between us on my phone.
And going how far back?
As far as I know, they started in 2015.
So your testimony would be that you did not delete any text messages with Katie. Is that right?
I don't recall which text messages were deleted or not deleted.
Okay. You started to get involved with this investigation on the 20th of May when you called the police and indicated that you had been to the house and that you could not find Katie. Is that correct?
I didn't call the police, Mr. Rocca did, but I made a statement at the police department in Dover.
And when you went to the police department in Dover, do you recall how many times, if you remember, that you spoke to the police investigators from Dover Police Department? Once or twice? Or? 'Cause you gave an interview, right?
I gave an interview, yes.
All right. Do you remember the date that you gave them the interview?
It was on the date that she was missing.
Do you recall when you spoke with, was it Trooper Jeffrey Kotkowski that you spoke to? If you remember.
I don't remember his last name. I remember speaking to an officer in the Dover PD
You don't
department.
remember his last name. That's fine. And you told the police in that investigation what you knew about the relationship she had with Harry Tuerk, correct?
Yes.
Now, you knew Harry Tuerk because actually he had done surgery on your father, right?
That is completely incorrect.
He did not do surgery on your father.
No, he did not.
Tell the police that he did surgery on your father?
No.
So when you first met Harry Tuerk, it would be through Katie McLean, Kathleen McLean?
Yes, it was through Katie McLean.
And you knew that, and she introduced you to Harry, right?
Yes.
She told you that Harry was a surgeon at St. E's, right?
That's right.
Were you working at St. E's at the time?
I was not.
You wanted, however, to work at St. E's, correct?
Yes, one of my prior colleagues was working there and Harry was working there, so.
Your answer is yes, correct?
Yes.
Do you recall speaking to Ms. McLean and asking whether or not she'd talk to Harry about getting you a job there?
I think it's normal for people who are getting a job to get recommendations, so yes, that's something I would do.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. It's not what you know, who you know, as they say, right? I mean, if you know somebody, that's fine. You can reach out and they can help you out, right? And that's what he did, right? Yes?
Yes.
And he got you the job at St. E's, right? And you were a good worker? Yes?
Yes.
And on occasion, you even worked with him, right?
I did.
And you had occasion to observe his surgical techniques, right?
Absolutely.
And in your text messages, you actually, on one occasion, indicated that his surgery was music.
Yes, it was.
And it was fun to watch. It was interesting to watch him act as a surgeon because he did a damn good job at it, right?
Absolutely.
When you met Katie, when you first started talking with Ms. McLean, would you agree with me that one of the things that you two would talk about was her concerns that Harry was having relationships with other women online or offline, right?
That topic came up.
It came up about 1,000 times, right? It wasn't just come up once, it came up all the time, right?
I think the culture of hospitals is that there's some questions about relationships that goes on.
Okay. Well, I mean, she would reach out to you in your text messages. For example, you recall in the beginning portion of your relationship would be page 1710 on the texts, that she sent you a message saying that she is
Objection.
All right, first of all, is there a date on that, Mr. Reddington?
You have 1710 on this. August 6th.
Of what year?
2018. Beginning of their relationship.
Can you show Ms. Beatty and Ms. McLaughlin, please?
Could we approach this?
Yes, we can approach.
Bring the laptop.
How long is this break? Damn. How long is this sidebar? Shit. What are they? They're talking for 15, 20 minutes sidebar? What the fuck?
Okay, Ms. Pettigrew, come back
Do
up.
they have lunch?
Audrey's present, may be seated.
They have a tea party?
So jurors, I just want to give you an instruction. You're going to hear this witness testify about statements that were allegedly made to her by Katie McLean. Those statements are only offered for a limited purpose. That is, to show the state of mind of Katie McLean around the time of the alleged event in the relationship. You may only consider those statements, that is, to Ms. McLean's state of mind, only if you find that the defendant was aware of her state of mind. You may not consider the statements for the truth of what is asserted in those statements. Okay.
Thank you. So, Ms. Pettigrew, I'm going to ask you if you recall the content of these text messages in your communications with Ms. McLean. Do you recall that she indicated to you that she found in his cell phone a woman that he had an affair 14 years ago, Kate Kelly?
I remember the name Kate Kelly.
Okay. She was from New Hampshire, right? Yes?
Yes.
And do you remember that Kate McLean was very upset about the fact that she found that contact in Harry's phone? Talk to you about it. The two of you sent texts back and forth.
I remember conversations about the name Kate Kelly.
And the conversations basically were that Kate McLean was very upset about that, right?
As far as I knew, she was trying to figure out what was going on.
Right. And she told you that she found that by looking in his phone, right?
I don't recall that particular aspect of her looking in the phone.
Do you recall her further into the conversations indicating that she texted him, "I know because I have his phone"? Do you recall her telling you that?
I don't recall that specific text.
And Harry emailed an open position at St. E's along the same time for you to get that job, right? You recall that?
There was a job fair where multiple people could come.
Right. Do you recall that
It
there
was
was
a job
text?
fair.
Excuse me. Do you recall sending a text to her, 1723, indicating that Harry emailed you an open position at St. E's? Email. Yes or no? Do you recall it?
I recall the job fair.
What's a job fair? Other people?
It's where anybody can come and...
Do you have a problem with acknowledging that Harry actually emailed you an open position, information about an open position?
No, I just don't recall that specific
Okay.
email.
So that's the
I
answer.
remember the job fair that he
That's the
forwarded
answer,
me.
is you don't recall. It's easy.
Okay.
You don't recall. Do you recall that she was upset and texted you that Harry was going to lend a friend $200,000, and she was very upset about him depleting his assets?
Sustained.
That's a
Did you
pretty
have
good
text
friend.
messages and oral conversations with her about how much money Harry had?
Sustained.
Now, do you recall her indicating that he, not her, was a dating site addict and he needed the rush?
Overruled.
I remember both of them talking about dating sites.
Okay. And do you recall her indicating that, in her opinion, he was a dating site addict and needed the rush?
I don't remember those terms, but they did talk about the dating sites. It often comes up in new relationships, whether or not to stop the dating sites or not.
Right, yeah, you've answered that. Do you recall?
That's pretty common.
Okay, so let's do it this way. I ask a question, you answer, okay? Thank you. So do you recall indicating to her, I guess maybe I should work for Harry. You need a spy. Do you remember saying that to her? Overall.
Are you talking about a joke?
The other one that said it.
Are you talking about a joke? That was.
Do you remember saying it?
I remember a joke passed between Katie and I.
And the joke was what? That you were going to be a spy for her?
I remember a joke like that, yes.
Okay. What did you mean?
It's just a joke.
Like what? I don't get the joke. What was the joke?
It's just a joke between friends.
Okay, and what was the joke?
That if you know where someone is and you are spending time with them, that you would, tell them what you saw.
Right, and she was very active on tracking websites as well, tracking his whereabouts. Isn't that right? That you knew about overall?
I think both of them did that.
Okay,
so
look, the question is, were you aware of them discussing anything about tracking websites?
They tracked each other.
They tracked each other, okay.
Yes.
So you know that she actually recalled sending her a text saying, you got to get off that tracking thing? She felt that it was interfering with your relationship?
I say that to parents that track their children all the time as well. There's a lot of helicopter parents
so
out there.
the question is, again, if you can focus, I apologize if I confused you. Do you recall any conversations about the tracking app that she was using, ruining their relationship?
As far as I know, they were both using it, and people
Can you
use
just
it for
answer
their
the
kids.
question?
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
thank you. Now, do you recall that she then, at the same time frame, moving up about a month or so, indicated that Dina friended him on Facebook and that he deleted the account? I went into his phone. Do you recall her saying anything like that to you?
Sustained.
Do you know who Dina was?
I don't remember Dina. There was only so many I could keep track of.
So many what?
So many people that Harry knew.
Oh, how about the guys that she knew? How many guys did she know that you knew about?
Sustained.
Did you know she was on the dating websites?
Overruled.
I think most people that go on dating websites date multiple people.
Do you know she was on dating websites?
Both of them were on dating websites, so yes.
You know
Yes.
that thank you. She was on
Yes.
the website. And you know that she was receiving photographs of men, various stages of dress, on exercise equipment, beaches, things of that nature. You know that, right?
Objection.
Sustained.
That's the nature of online
Hey,
dating.
listen, just take a moment before you answer the question to see if there's an objection, okay? Thank you.
So how about the dates that she went on? You remember the dentist from New Hampshire, right?
Objection, Your Honor, may we?
While they were...
May we approach?
Yes.
I have an objection. I have several objections. This woman looks like she would eat me. I don't like looking at her. I feel like my soul is in jeopardy.
You would agree with me from your personal knowledge that in November of 17, Harry and Kathleen McLean met online. It was November 17, right?
I believe so.
And in March of 18, Kathleen McLean and her 3 children moved into his home, right?
Yes.
You recall talking to her about her moving into Dover and using...
On the plus side, my appetite has been very sufficiently suppressed. You know, I don't even need Monjourno anymore. I don't need Monjourno. I've just found a radical cost-saving solution to my medical problems. Instead of me taking Monjourno once a week, I'll just watch this woman. I'll never eat again.
Word, it's a good score. Do you recall that?
The sarcastic comment? Yes, that sounds right.
Okay, so what do you mean by it's a good score? Congratulations.
I think when people get into a good relationship that they're happy with and they feel like they finally met the right person, which is how Katie felt, that's a good score. How she felt.
Okay.
Yes.
And so the good score, somehow the town of Dover and the house and everything just kind of was on the periphery of that?
I don't know. I'm from Wellesley, so I don't really judge towns. There's all kinds of people in towns.
Okay. So she moves in March of 18, and you knew in December of 19 that he had consulted with a divorce lawyer because she told you, right?
Objection.
Sustain, rephrase it, please.
All right, we have in mind the close relationship that you guys had and you're texting on a constant basis. You'd agree with me that everything from shoes to skirts to makeup to blush, eyelashes, everything you guys would talk about in your texts, right?
We would talk about anything and everything.
Yes?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
I can't help noticing that every single one of those things is a fairly vapid subject, which is basically my overall impression of this woman. She's a vapid person. I'm looking in her eyes, but I'm not seeing life. Ugh.
Talk about that. You also talked about kids, issues with the children, activities, things of that nature. You would share with
Yes.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And when Harry, 5 months, less than 5 months after they get married, went to see a divorce lawyer, you were the first person she told, right?
I don't know if it was the first person, but she told me yes.
Is that right?
Yes.
What did she tell you? What was the state of mind when she told you that?
She was conflicted.
Okay, what does that mean?
She had feelings both ways.
But it doesn't matter her feelings. He's the one who went to a divorce lawyer, right? First, 5 months later.
I don't recall the details of him going to the divorce lawyer.
You don't remember your friend telling you that he wanted to get a divorce?
They would have arguments all the time. Couples do. They talk about divorce, but that doesn't mean they're going to do it.
Okay, so if I ask you about that, when did they talk about and what did they talk about divorce? You wouldn't be able to tell me one thing because that is not true, correct?
Objection.
I'm not sure. I feel like you're putting words in my mouth.
Excuse me, ma'am. When there's an objection, you don't answer, okay?
Okay, I'm sorry.
All right. So the objection is sustained. Please rephrase the question.
So, at the end of January of 2020, you knew that he was going to get a divorce, right? You at least knew that.
I did not know for sure what his plans were. I had never spoken to him about it.
Things changed.
Yes.
You knew he started divorce, right? She told you.
They talked about divorce a couple different ways.
Let's say, please, focus. They, nothing. Her told you you got the divorce, right? That's all.
Yes.
Okay. And as a result of that, then she took action and got divorced later of her own, right?
Sure.
Okay. And then she went and got a restraining order against him and got him thrown out of his house, right?
That's not how I recall the timeline of events.
Well, it was February 3rd that she got the restraining order. It was the end of January that he signed the divorce letter, well before she started with it.
Can you restate your question?
Sure. February 3rd is when she got the restraining order throwing him out of his house. Okay? Yes?
Okay.
And it was the end of January 30th that he had the divorce lawyer send her a letter saying he wanted a divorce 5 months after the marriage. You knew that, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And it was February 3rd, after he got the divorce lawyer, that she went and got the restraining order to throw him out of his house, right?
Objection asked and answered.
No, overruled.
I'm moving in.
I didn't know if you objected.
It wasn't an objection, it was overruled, so you can answer the question.
Trying to be good. Sorry. Yes. Yes.
So now when he was out of the house, you know that she stayed in the house, right?
Yes.
With 3 kids. And one of the questions the DA asked you was about the car, right?
Yes.
So which car was it that she had?
She would use either one.
Wait, no,
She had the Jeep and she had the Mercedes.
Okay, so they were his cars, right?
Yes, I mean, she had 3 kids, so
About the 3 kids.
depending on how many kids she had to cart around.
Right.
Right.
Well, his car.
Yeah, Linda Tripp. That's a good call, Shelley. Linda Tripp. 100%. Yeah, she's got Linda Tripp vibes in multiple different ways. That's a very good observation. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
I think once you're married, it doesn't become his and hers, but sure.
No, I guess not. Before they got married, he owned the Jeep, right?
Yes.
Before they got married, he owned the Mercedes, right?
Yes.
Mercedes was over $150,000, right?
I don't know how much it costs.
He liked to drive the Mercedes, right?
I'm not sure. Is this
Who
relevant?
paid for the car while he was out? Who paid for the car when he was out down in Florida during the pandemic? Who paid for the car?
Sustained.
Do you recall, moving on, now it's after the restraining order was issued and Harry was out of the house around February 2020, having a conversation about him being out of the house, but he wanted to live in the basement. Do you recall that conversation?
Yes, I do.
And he basically just asked if he could please move back in the house and stay in the basement, at least because of concerns with the pandemic, right?
Yep, I remember that.
And she said no, right?
I don't know if the restraining order had been lifted. I don't think that was allowed, but they did talk about it.
Right. But as far as her agreement or not agreement, you know from a text that she sent you at that time frame that we talked about, that she said no, LOL. She wouldn't let him move into the basement. It's his house.
I think there was an issue about how they were communicating and getting along at the time, and there needed to be a barrier, and that's what she felt.
How would they communicate? They were communicating and getting along at the time. He was out of the house in Florida, and she's living in his house with the 3 kids.
So why would he move in the basement then? I don't
Because he had nowhere to live. He's living in a trailer.
Objection.
Sustained. Next.
But if they weren't talking, why would he move in?
Yeah.
It's confusing me, sorry.
Because it's his house? Your question is, if they weren't talking, so why would he move in? Because it's his house? No? Okay.
Okay, go ahead, Mr. Reddington.
Around March into April of 2020, you knew that, she knew that he was going back to Germany.
Yes, I knew he was taking a trip to Germany.
And in fact, that he was going to Germany and he had a job there. She knew that, right?
I don't know if he had a job there, but there was a job he was exploring in Germany, yes.
Okay, and she knew that he wanted to go back to Germany for good, right?
It was an option that he was trying to figure out, yes. As far as I know, he had an option in Florida as well.
And then, but he didn't want to stay with her. He wanted to leave. He wanted to get divorced. He wanted to go back to Germany, not go to Florida with her or anything, right?
That was not my understanding.
Sorry, ma'am. Just you need to wait a second before you answer the question.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. You don't have to be sorry. Just wait a second to see if there's an objection to the question. So the objection is sustained. Next question.
In March of 2020, you would have your husband, Vincent, is it?
Yes.
And Vincent can speak German, right?
He can speak 4 languages.
So,
Oh, my
yes,
God.
he can speak German?
One of the languages he can speak is German.
Yes. And she, on a number of occasions, would ask you to have Vincent interpret German messages that she received, or he received from Germany, thinking that they were women, right?
I don't think it was that. It was just a language barrier, and to be able to translate would be helpful.
In March, at the end of March of 2020, you recall her texting you, he's talking to a woman from Germany early. Can you please have Vincent look at it?
If you don't understand a language, the normal thing is to translate it, so that's what she asked him to do, yes.
This woman is infuriating. Lady, here's what I need you to do. I need you to listen to the question, and then I just need you to answer the question. Please, for the love of God.
Do you recall her at the same time frame, moving from March into April, that she determined from looking at his phone, he's on Twitter, on the phone, texting like cheating in my face? Do you recall her saying that to you?
I don't recall that specific one, but I do recall that there were conversations about cheating.
That wasn't the question.
Involving both of them, right?
Gotcha.
Sustained.
You remember when they, back when they got married, you remember they went to Las Vegas?
Yes.
You remember that it was a, what do you call it, a conference? I think like an international conference or something. I think it was on aging.
I believe Harry was going to a conference, and Katie went along.
Okay. And he was speaking at this conference on whatever the topic was, right? Mm-hmm. And it was when they were in Las Vegas that they got married, right?
Yes.
And that was, you know, everybody was pretty happy about that for a period of time, right?
Of course.
And then she texted you that within 3 weeks that he kicked her out again, go look for a house, is what she told you. You remember that?
I remember that they weren't getting along, and there was an option that she would have to look for another home.
Well, it wasn't an option because back before May of 2020, it was his home, right?
Gotcha.
You know he owned the home, right?
Well, she put money into the home too. So
like what?
She put money from her home sale into the home, and she also helped build the garden in the back.
She didn't put a nickel into that home.
That's not my understanding.
Well, it may not be your understanding, but she didn't put a nickel into your home.
That's not my understanding.
Ma'am, you need
to sorry.
Disregard that last answer, Jarvis.
You recall that she told you, moving forward again to with the wedding, that she was excited that she got married and there was no pre-up, is what she told you. Prenup, I'm sorry, not a pre-up, prenup. I mean, you remember that, right?
Yes.
Okay. And she was happy about that, right?
I think most women are happy when there's not a prenup.
And why is that?
I think it just means that you're in love.
You're in love.
Yeah, I believe in love, and so did Katie.
And
I believe in prenups.
you recall having a conversation with her in April of 2020, where you were telling her, I think you're referring to the music thing with the surgery, a story about him going to a little boy to talk him into having kidney surgery. You teared up telling her about that, right?
Gotcha.
Sustained.
Do you recall that she indicated again at that same time frame that she texted you that she was determined to move home to Germany? He was determined to move home to Germany. Remember that?
I think that was one of the options for him. I think he had others as well. So it's
Okay, so
the way
I'm
you're
asking
asking the
about the
question.
text, ma'am, not what you think other options were, might have been, could have been, should have been. She was upset and told.
All right. There are some people who say there's no excuse for hitting a woman. But guys, I need you to hear me out for a second.
You that he was determined to move, and I quote, determined to move home to Germany is the text she sent you. Do you remember that?
I do.
All right. Do you recall, furthering on that topic, that she then texted you that he had a job offer in Germany and was going to Germany?
I do remember that conversation.
Okay. All right. You said that she had a beautiful, cute little house in Sudbury, right?
Yes,
And you'd agree with me that that ultimately went up for sale, right?
it did.
You'd agree with me that it was in foreclosure, right?
I do not have that information. I know she was renting it while she was living in Dover.
Okay, do you recall that in fact she described the house to you as shitty and that actually the basement was flooded right when she was trying to sell it?
I don't believe that certain homes are shitty and certain homes are not, but that might be a conversation someone.
Uh-huh. Everyone's house is a 10. Right.
Has when they're frustrated, which I can understand. There was a water, like French drain in the basement. That might have been what she was referring to. So I do recall that conversation.
Would you agree with me that there were a plethora of texts from Katie McLean to
If
you
she knows what the word plethora means, I'll be impressed.
talking about having a drink, I'm feeling tipsy, I'm trashed, I'm hammered, I'm hungover? You asked, has your drinking been okay? Do you recall that?
Objection.
Sustained.
That was a compound question. What's the defense theory of the defense? I'm beginning to feel like the best defense theory is she needed killing. That's more of a Texas thing, but I'd give it a shot in Massachusetts. She needed killing. Yeah. Do
you recall her indicating that she had, and she texted you, and this would be right around the same time that they were supposedly reconciling, that she had a new app to track his location? Do you recall her telling you that?
I do not recall.
Do you recall her indicating, wow, Dr. Tuerk apparently can perform surgery from Home Depot? Do you recall that one? It's kind of funny.
Sustained.
Did she ever tell you that she used the tracking app, his location? You gotta wait till she objects.
Okay, overall, she can answer that.
Okay, you can answer.
I answered this already. They both had tracking apps, so yes, both of them had tracking apps.
Okay. But you don't recall her indicating that he was at Home Depot on one occasion? No?
I'm sorry.
Sorry.
Does Massachusetts still do witch trials? Okay.
Moving up again, right to when they were at the hotel and allegedly reconciling, everything was great, that she was texting you, and I quote, "I looked through Harry's cell last night." You recall her telling you that?
Yes.
Do you recall her texting you and saying, "I'm so happy I have Vanessa to look at the phone"? That'd be you, Vanessa, right?
I don't recall that one.
You recall her right before the May alleged reconciliation that she texted you for help to find out who is this Stephanie bitch. It's his type, fake blonde, fake tits. Do you recall her texting you that?
Sustained.
I do not recall.
Sustained.
Okay.
Do you recall while they were ostensibly reconciling that she indicated to you that she was still going
Yeah,
up?
can we pin the John O'Keefe death on this girl? Because I feel like that would solve a lot of problems at once. If we're gonna pin it on the girl, can we pin it on Vanessa over here? Can we do a little swappity do and pin it on Vanessa?
Out on dates with the dentist from New Hampshire.
Objection.
Overruled.
When they were separated?
Do you recall the dentist from New Hampshire?
Yes, I don't recall the timeline you're
Okay, so the answer is yes.
Yes.
Right? His name was Michael, right?
Yes.
Okay. And in May of 2020, she told you in a text that she went out on a date with the dentist again, right?
Objection.
Overruled.
Yes?
Yes, they were separated.
Yes, the answer is yes, right?
Yes.
I know you want to say they were separated, but you know that she went on a date in May of 20 with the dentist Michael from New Hampshire.
Okay.
Okay. And again, towards the very end of that time frame, she indicated to you that he intended, again, talking about he had the job. No, it's not possibly. He had the job in Germany, and he will be leaving. She told you that, right? She was upset.
Well, Yes, it also wasn't the amount of money that he would like,
Oh,
so
so it wasn't enough money?
that was for him to decide. He was still
Right, so she
deciding.
knew how much it was, though, right?
Objection.
It wasn't, it wasn't.
Sustain. Next question.
Do you remember her indicating or asking, and again at the time frame at the end of April, beginning of May, can you see if he's back on Instagram and start printing them out? Do you recall her asking for your help for that?
Yes.
Okay. Do you recall that one of the text messages that going back to February 2019, on February 20th of 2019, that you sent a text to Harry, and he was asking you about why Katie was having... You're objecting.
Objection.
Sustain.
Well, can I see it, sidebar?
Yes.
So far, I hate everybody in this trial. I hate the witness. I hate the prosecutor for boring me to death. I kind of hate the defense lawyer in the way he's asking questions. I kind of hate everybody. I hate the dead person. Just a lot of hate in this case. The judge seems okay. I'm acquitting him. Not guilty. Not guilty. He didn't do it. It's fine. But he confessed. Sure.
The police, after you went to the house on was it May 20th? May 15th, I'm sorry. You knew at that point that Harry had signed a deed transferring his house over to her and him jointly, right?
Yes.
And she told you that, right?
Yes.
And she was pretty excited about that, right?
Objection.
It was part of his will, so it made sense to
You
me.
need to wait, ma'am, until there's an objection, so just wait to answer. Rephrase the question, sustain.
So you knew that, or she had told you that he transferred or put her on the deed to the house, right?
Yeah, it made sense to me because
So the answer is
that was
yes?
part of his will.
It was,
Yes.
it was his will? Okay. And when you were speaking with the police, this popcorn that you made reference to, when did that come about, that you were going to have that code with Kurt?
We were nervous. We were nervous
I'm
about,
not asking about you being nervous. I said when. It's a W word. When?
okay.
When was it?
So we were trying to figure out when they were reconciling it
When was it that you decided to use this popcorn word?
before Harry moved back into the house.
Thank
So that
you,
would
Brandon.
be around April.
Okay. It was really just a week before you talked to the police that you decided to use this popcorn. You told the police about popcorn. A week before. Just a week.
Okay.
Is that right?
I don't know. I'd have to check.
So when you were speaking to Lieutenant or Detective Karkowski, and pursuant to this investigation on Friday, May 15th, the police spoke to you, okay? I can show you the report if you want. It's got coffee all over it, but I can show it to you if you
Okay.
want. And that they interviewed you about your relationship with Katie McLean, right?
Right.
Remember that? And you've had a chance to review your statement to the police, right? It's only 2 pages. Yes?
Yes.
Okay. And you indicated to them that this past week, you created the code word popcorn. So that would have been, you know, like May 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, something like that, right?
I would have to check the time.
So if you want me to show you where you told the police it was this past week, have in mind you were speaking to them on May 15th? I can show you where it says that.
I agree. We came up with popcorn before Harry moved in, yes.
Right, you told the police, when your memory was a lot fresher than it is today,
It was 5
years
years
later.
ago.
Right, 5 years ago.
Yeah.
That in fact, it was this past week that you created the code word popcorn.
Okay,
Okay.
yes.
Go ahead, Ron.
I have nothing further. Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay, all right, thank you, ma'am. You may step down. Please be careful. There is a ledge there.
Thank you. Thank you.
Oh, God, it's over. Thank God. Oh, thank God it's over. I don't have to hear this woman anymore. Excellent. All right. So someone wanted me to go back to the defense's opening because apparently it didn't suck balls. So we'll watch the defense's opening and see if they can tell me what the hell's going on in this case.
Thank you. Sure. jurors, a couple of things that you have to understand. And His Honor is the umpire of the case. He calls the balls, he calls the strikes, he allows objections, excludes things, allows things. When I say it's not evidence, what the DAs say is not evidence, what's evidence, and what you people determine the facts of this case to be, consistent with your life experience, which is obviously very important. Because as a juror, you bring to this trial your life experience dealing with your friends, dealing with work, inferences that you can draw from evidence that you determine to be the facts. And as jurors, coming from all walks of life, you bring together that life experience and the ability to discuss, once the case is over, the evidence that has been presented, to determine whether or not the government has proven a case beyond a reasonable doubt, as His Honor instructed you what that definition of beyond a reasonable doubt means, and the high burden that is set on the government to say to a jury, this is not close, this is not more probable than not, this is not more likely than, it's beyond a reasonable doubt. And the only one that determines who is going to get charged with a crime in our society is the government. And when the government determines that they're going to charge somebody with a crime, they don't call you up and say, hey, we're thinking we're going to charge you with a crime. Do you have any input on that determination? They arrest you, and they determine, we're going to charge the person, I suggest to you, the highest crime that is possible that can be proven beyond a reasonable doubt. In this case, first-degree murder. At the end of the trial, His Honor will tell you what the law is, and he'll explain to you that there are two theories, I suspect, of murder in the first degree: premeditated, malice aforethought, cruelty, and atrocity. He'll tell you about the factors that one can consider to determine whether or not an individual has killed another human being with cruelty and atrocity with the intent to kill and taking pleasure in the death of that person. His Honor will tell you about what's called second-degree murder. His Honor may tell you about what's called voluntary manslaughter, perhaps maybe even involuntary manslaughter. That depends on the evidence that goes into this trial, and that's entirely up to the judge. And giving you the law is entirely up to the judge, not me. At the end of the case, you're going to be able to have his instructions, and then you take the facts that you determine to exist, and you match it up to the law, and you make a decision as to whether or not the government, not the defendant, the government has proven guilt beyond a reasonable doubt, and if so, to what degree. Now, how do you do that? Well, you come in here, you may say, I'm not really capable of determining credibility. Well, yeah, you do it every day. And you bring that life experience into the jury room, and you factor that in. When you weigh the testimony of a witness, and you notice the witness stand is right in, it's right next to you. And the reason it's right next to you is so that you as a jury are able to observe the demeanor of the witness, consider whether or not the witness, to your determination, has a dog in the fight, as they say. Are they gilding the lily? Are they adding anything? Are they trying to portray something because they have a reason to want to portray something? That's all up to you. Credibility determinations are left to the jury. So what do we have here? You have a man who's on trial for murder. Harry Tuerk, and by the way, he's a doctor, he was a doctor, he is a doctor. He don't like to go by the term doctor. He was always Harry. You're going to hear evidence that he was always Harry, that he was a gentleman who was a urologist, dealt with kidneys, dealt with prostate, and was a surgeon. You're going to hear evidence that Harry was born in East Germany, and as a kid he grew up in East Germany, went to the East German schools. When he graduated from high school, he went into the East German Air Force, served in the East German Air Force for a number of years, got out, went to med school after he graduated from college. Became an accomplished physician, an accomplished surgeon. The wall came down, he was able to leave East Germany, and he, like a bat out of hell, got out of East Germany and came over to the United States. When he came over to the United States, at the age of 42, he learned English. Didn't know English. You'll hear him testify. He's going to testify in this case. Sounds like Arnold Schwarzenegger. But he knows English, and he speaks very, very good English, self-taught. In the United States, he became not just an accomplished surgeon, but he was one of, if not the best, as far as reputation, worldwide for robotic prostate surgery. Those hands saved hundreds of lives and took one. And he knows it. Every day, he wakes up, you'll hear evidence that he thinks of Katie.
He didn't do it.
With something like that. You live with it.
Guys, I know his lawyer just basically confessed that he did the crime, but I'm still thinking not guilty. You know, I'm just not feeling it. Yeah.
But as human beings, and His Honor, I suspect, will instruct you that you look to the circumstances that surround the taking of a life. What was involved? What happened? Like if somebody's acting to protect themselves, or if somebody's acting out of hot blood, heat of passion, or if it's an accident even on certain cases. So when Harry comes over here to the United States, and he ended up meeting Catherine McLean on Bumble, one of those websites. Nothing good ever comes from Bumble or Twitter or whatever those things are that you go on, and you're dating websites, and nothing wrong with that. You meet people, hopefully you meet the right one, maybe, or you have fun. So you're going to hear evidence that both Katie and Harry went on this dating website. He's living by himself. He's living life large. She's been married twice before. No judgment there. He was married twice before. So now he's living in Dover. And as he's living in Dover, and by the way, you're going to see a timeline. And here's the timeline that I think is somewhat relevant. You're going to see that in November of 17, Harry and Kathleen meet online. Like most of us, they date, they have fun, they end up feeling that they have feelings for each other. March 18, 4 months later. 4 months later, she moves into his house. His house. You heard the government indicate her house. Well, it's her house now. It was her house, and you'll hear evidence of that. So the house was in Dover, Massachusetts. You're going to hear evidence that Harry had occasion to work on that house. It was a very nice house. There's the house in Dover. Here's a photograph of the backyard that he worked on, the pool, the cabana, the waterfall, outside TV. You're going to see evidence of the interior of the house. Beautiful home, downstairs, huge exercise gym, huge movie theater with a movie you can watch, office space. Because
Office space?
March of 18, I can say it.
What?
Kathleen McLean and her 3 children, the dad, Steve Roca, her 3 children move into the house, and they're living together. He's working, he's going to Boston. And as I say, he wasn't really, he didn't like to be Dr. Tuerk, he didn't like to be referred to in any type of appellations. What he preferred was his lifestyle, which involved his Harley Davidson, ×2. He was lucky enough to have 2 Harleys. And what he used to do is he used to go and do his surgery, and he never was one to want to wear, the guy with the round thing on the head and all that. He hated that stuff. He wasn't Dr. Tuerk, he was Harry. Everybody knew him. Everybody loved him. He would walk into work, and that was his attire. Harley Davidson get it underneath his surgical, he'd have Harley Davidson shirt. He became of such repute the St. Elizabeth. They were owned by...
At any point, is he going to talk about the crime and rather than he's just a great guy? He look at all he's accomplished in his life. He managed to escape East Germany, come here, become a doctor, world renowned. He owns some Harleys. He doesn't like being calling doctor. Are we going to get to the crime at all at some point?
That medical corporation, I forget, they own all the hospitals that they crashed. But in any event, he was the chief of urology. And he was such a star for them that there were billboards over the expressway in Boston. This is the guy living by himself. There was 2 motorcycles, this beautiful house. Goes into Kathleen McLean. In December of 19, now we're talking, March of 18 to December of 19, they get married. Drunk. He had a exposition that he had to do in Las Vegas. So they went to Las Vegas. He took her. They had a good time. Well, he's in Las Vegas, and they were both intoxicated. They ended up going through the fast lane, the drive-through weddings. It ended up being...
What the fuck? They did a drive-through wedding? This guy is not great with the decision making, is he, man? Holy shit.
This is not them, this is an ad, but to sit inside the pink Elvis Cadillac.
What?
Drive December of 19. January of 20. January of 20. Harry meets with a divorce lawyer. A woman here from Denver. Here Elizabeth. What's a divorce? Doesn't want to be with Kathleen McLean after the 5 months or so. Doesn't want to be married. She sends him an email. She says at the end of the month, thank you for the retainer, the money that he paid her, to divorce Kathleen McLean. You can hear evidence that Kathleen McLean constantly went on his cell phone, constantly looking for whether or not he's on Bumble and Jumble or whatever it is, or whether or not he's flirting, or whether or not he's sexting, or whether or not he's having affairs, or whether or not he's cheating. There's a huge portion of it. 2 days after, a letter was written by the attorney confirming the divorce retainer had been received and there was going to be a divorce. She went to court, she got a restraining order against him. Threw him out of his own home, ordered by the court because she had a restraining order. Then she filed for divorce. So now at this point, he's in a situation where he's out. Where's he going to go? He calls a friend, Charlie Lax. Charlie, the next guy, lets him stay at his house for a period of time, but how long are you going to be able to do that? So Charlie has him leave. You're going to hear evidence that after he left Charlie Lax's house, he ended up going, his counsel kind of blithely says, well, he went off to Florida. He didn't just go off to Florida. He had nowhere to live, literally. He ended up almost homeless. The time came, and remember that horrific time when the pandemic struck all of us. It was an international event. He was in Germany prior to that because he had a job. His life was changing. He was going to Germany. He was going to be a physician in Germany. He already had a job with a university. His life was on a much better track. You're going to hear evidence of his discussion about, well, you know, the Roca kids, they liked Dover, they liked the schools, they liked the programs. Katie didn't want to move the kids. He didn't care. Fine. Sell the house in June. When the kids had done in school, he didn't care. He was out of there. She knew it. As the pandemic got worse, at his age, being a physician, obviously, all of us, I suppose, at that point were concerned. He was worried about dying. Not an unusual thing he was worried about at the height of that pandemic and the fear that took him.
What kind of bundle deals do you get for a drive-through wedding? What's the difference between the number 1, the number 2, the number 3, the number 4, and the number 5? Do they have 2-for-1 specials? I have questions. Also, incidentally, like, how do you actually get the marriage license itself? Do you get that at the drive-through too? How's that work? Do they have like the courthouse in the chapel? I have clarifying questions. Okay. Elvis does the ceremony? I'm having a really hard time justifying this ethically. I mean, it's legal, I suppose, but what person sets up a drive-through wedding business and thinks, yes, I'm doing the right thing by the world? Maybe they don't. Don't need a courthouse? Well, someone has to issue the marriage license. Who issues the marriage license? Yeah, right. You obtain the marriage license from somebody, right? Marriage is not ethical? Well, that's a powerful statement.
By overwhelming emotion. He ended up consulting his doctor and medication, and again, had nowhere to go. Would knock on the door, would say to a friend, can I stay with you? And they'd be like, dude, I'm sorry. No, this is stuff going on.
Marriage license bureau is open every day. The bureau's hours from 8 to 12. So you just go by there, you get your, is that drive-through too? Is the marriage license bureau also drive-through? Do I even have to get out of the car? Cost you about $100. That sounds right. To obtain the marriage license, both you and your partner must present valid ID. That sounds right. Hookers are not legal in Las Vegas.
You can hear evidence from one of the government's witnesses who was a friend for a long time of Katie McLean, in 2015, I believe. The Vanessa Pettigrew talked to her every day. There were 12,000 pages of texts that they sent back and forth to each other every day, talking about what's going on in their life, talking about, whether or not what type of fingernail polish, what type of shoes, what type of dresses. Is this trashy? Does this look good? I think it looks nice. And by the way, let's go to
They don't have any brothels in Vegas. There are no brothels in Clark County. It's illegal in Clark County.
We're going to drink. Are you drunk? Are you okay? How's your alcohol problem? On and on and on. Meanwhile, he's reaching out to his best friend, Kurt Annenstein. Germany. He reaches out to Kurt. Can I stay with you? You're going to see, because he texted a text that he received from Harry to Vanessa Pettigrew. So you've got Kate McLean, you've got the two planets rolling around, Kurt and Vanessa. So Harry reaches out to Kurt and says, please, can I stay with you? I need safety. I have to stay somewhere and be safe. Kurt says, no, I don't think so. I can't do that. But he sent that to Vanessa, and the two of them said, it's too bad. He had a lawyer, good lawyer, real good guy. John Hoffman was representing him. John was dealing with her lawyer. And John would send, you'll see the emails, he'd send letters in the course of the negotiations. Can he please stay in the basement? It's his house. Can he stay in the basement? Put a lock on the door. And you'll see text between Kate McLean and Vanessa about Harry wants to stay in the basement, LOL. That's Harry wants to stay in the basement. He's not her house. His house. But he now has to find a place to stay. Stays in Boston in one little bedroom with a friend. And the friend board of trustees, you can hear evidence, wanted him out because of the pandemic. He went to Florida. In Florida, he stayed in a rusty, nasty trailer that a friend Bob Egan let him stay in until Bob sold the trailer. In the interim, they were negotiating.
Maybe Uncivil will open a brothel outside of Vegas. The Uncivil brothel. Lol.
About reconciliation. And the negotiations basically were pretty simple. Kate McLean, who I submit you're going to hear, had a little house in Sudbury with a flooded basement and a lot of problems to it on a $400,000 house that was underwater, that was being foreclosed on, that ultimately got sold pre-foreclosure. And now she's living in that house in Dover. So she wanted on the deed. She wanted on the deed, and she wanted a post-up. She wanted him to sign something that would give her half ownership in the property. And that's where David Keighton comes in. David Keighton, you'll hear from Zoom, was an attorney and a friend of Kate McLean's, and he talked every day, as many of her friends wanted to do, would talk sexting to her. At one point, getting somewhat descriptive about various sex acts and talking about the property. And he prepares the deed, and she records the deed. He records the deed, and she says, by the way, if he dies, do I get everything? So as time goes by, in the interest of reconciliation, he signs the deed. Signs it and puts her on the property. She owns half that property. Look at the date. 29th of April, 2020. Signed a post-up agreement, given $100,000, paying the lawyer's fees.
I like Beef Fish Brothel. That's really good. It's like, yeah, Beef Fish Brothel. Our motto will be something like, we don't care what your kink is. We will accommodate it because we believe in beef fish. We can make whatever it is you want to have happen work. Holy shit. We'll be specialists. Woof.
You're going to see text messages between Vanessa, his best friend Kurt. You're going to see text messages with Kurt. And while Kurt was talking to him about trying to mediate between Katie McLean and Harry and trying to get things to work out, that he was sexting her, and she's responding. Ultimately, he's sending her what's referred to in the vernacular as dick pics, and she's sending him pictures of her breasts while she's in a bathtub. And this guy's going to be right up here on that witness stand. Can't wait. That's his best friend, Kurt. So as time goes by, Harry now comes back to Massachusetts, has nerve problems in his leg, and needs help. Roca, by the way, was persona non grata with Katie, ends up together the two of them, pick up Harry, bring him to Denver, stays in a hotel. While he's in the hotel, Katie is with him getting water, food, things of that nature. Has a restraining order. It's just, don't worry about the restraining order. Come on back home, as he signed the deed. Come on back home, we're going to be a family again. She files documents with an attorney. You're going to hear from Mike Thaler, who's an attorney here in Denver, filing dismissing restraining orders. Life is good. Harry's going to come back home. They have that nice night that the DA was talking about. They're playing a board game with the kids. They're drinking. They're having martinis. Then they have whiskey. Then they have an argument. Then they go upstairs to the bedroom. That's when they go upstairs and the DA says that he, with his anger, decided that he was going to murder her. Well, that's a good life choice, huh? No, what actually happened, and you'll see the evidence is pretty clear, that what happens is they're in the bedroom, and they're arguing, and she's talking about the other men. She's got hundreds of guys after her on these websites, and do you think I really loved you? Do you think I really loved you? I'm calling the police tomorrow. You're getting out of here. They got in the course of an argument. She had a rocks glass in her hand. She had her cell phone in the other hand. He got on his knees. He said, Katie, please don't. She smashed the rocks glass off his head, the right side of his head, not the left side like the police think. At that point, with one hand, the size of that hand, the strength of that hand, he grabbed her, sat the highway, she died. You're going to hear evidence from Dr. Lapasada, pathologist from Rhode Island. Dr. Lapasada will tell you that a lot of what appears to be in any of these pictures that his honor asked you about, can you handle looking at these pictures that are not pleasant? There's twigs and leaves and stuff on the pond. There's what appears to be bluish skin on the face. A lot of that is from lying face down in the pond, in the pooling of blood. Post-mortem. You're going to hear evidence that death was within seconds. He panics, doesn't know what to do. This is post-homicide conduct. The deed is done. What's for you to determine is, can the government show you and prove to you beyond a reasonable doubt that this was not feeling in hot blood, heat of passion, set conduct, as opposed to premeditated malice of forethought and cruelty and atrocity. Putting someone in a pond, this is called fright or flight. Bad move. Should have called 911. Nevertheless, it was a panicked move. You're going to see that when he was in the hospital, you're going to see that he was passed out. He had a 226 blood alcohol.
That's pretty good.
Talk to you about his statements to the police in the course of that questioning, almost as if, he's writing a presidential speech and has all of his wits about him. This is what he looked like when the police first went into the hospital. That's what he looked like. He was passed out. He was coming out of it. Medication, significantly intoxicated. None of the records indicating that the doctors had always believed it was attempted suicide by alcohol poisoning. In the course of talking to the police, you're going to hear the video. You're going to see, I submit to you, that he was confused with a lot of questions, but nevertheless, was trying to be a gentleman, was trying to be cooperative. Police officers noticed his wrist. He tried to kill himself in a state of despondency. Total misery. That, members of the jury, is the evidence that will be presented to you, and ultimately, at the end of the case, it's up to you to determine whether or not the government has proven this case, to what degree, if any, beyond a reasonable doubt. And you heard the magistrate, Margaret, indicate to you that you as a jury pass between the defendant. Even though we call people that are charged with a crime a defendant, the person is as honest as doesn't have to defend against anything. Government's burden of proof, but nevertheless, you as a jury pass between the defendant and the Commonwealth, the DA's office, the police, crime labs, all the rest of it. You pass between the government and the defendant, who has placed himself on his country, which country you are. And that she then went on and said, and you are charged with hearing the evidence on your oath that you took as jurors. And we are confident and appreciate it, because it is a service. When jurors come and you take time out of your lives, knowing that that protects all of us, that we have a right to go before a jury of our peers to determine whether or not the government has proven a case beyond a reasonable doubt. At the end of the case, you get a chance to give your closing argument. Again, what I say is not evidence. What the DA says is not evidence. What's evidence is what you hear from here, photographs, exhibits, things of that nature. Thank you.
I really didn't like the way that was presented. It didn't really flow very well for me. I didn't find it particularly well organized. It's not working for me. It was better than the prosecutor who put me to sleep. Is there anything else from day one that we should react to? Because I'm still waiting for maximum spice, and witness one was not really maximum spice. So where's my spicy in my day? He had props. Yeah, I mean, that was good. Like it for an average juror, maybe. I found it to be a bit disconnected. I didn't find it to be particularly well organized. I didn't find it particularly indicated where he was going. Kirk Cross is the way to go. Witness 2 is the spicy. All right, we'll give witness 2 a spice chance. This guy. Witness 2, day 2 is spice. Day 2 is spice. Day 2 is spice, but other someone said day 2 wasn't particularly spicy. Did someone said day 2 was boring? Only the cross witness 2? All right, so I'll pick it up when cross starts, I guess.
Had expressed some concern that she may be in there injured.
Then what happened?
We entered.
By the way, they're not calling Proctor. I'm not surprised and also confused at how they managed to, how they're planning on doing this technically. I'm very concerned how they're planning on doing this technically by not calling Proctor. And whether the defense calls Proctor. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how they're planning on putting things together without the lead investigator. Today's cross-exam, not yesterday. Sorry, witness 3. Is the spicy one? Okay, fine. So I'll switch back to this. Oh, don't send me a DM, Shannon. I meant just post it in the, I don't accept DMs. When I said use the Discord, I meant just post it in my channel. Like it just post it in one of the channels as appropriate. I don't accept DMs from people I don't know. No, Proctor was not involved in this one. We were just talking about Karen Reed for a second.
Okay.
More or less.
A mile or less?
Yeah, I don't remember.
And
You haven't heard all.
All right, hold on. How do you find it? It's on my link tree. It's on the way. You find it the same way you find any other way to contact it. It's on my link tree. It's posted on my about page. It's posted with asterisk link tree. It's okay. Proctor's involved in this case? Really? That's amazing. He was in this case too? Oh. Witness 3? No, the witness 1 was the best friend, wasn't there? All right, so we're going back to today. So this guy.
Dr. Tuerk. Did Dr. Tuerk ever provide any medical attention to you?
No.
All right. What about Ms. McLean? Were you ever a client of hers?
Yes, she did Reiki.
And
All right, here we go.
Back in 2019, that's when you first met Harry and Katie?
I'm not exactly sure exactly the time I met him.
Okay, was it in 2019?
Was it, excuse me?
2019?
I'm not 100% of the time I met him. I met him at the Legion and we were drinking, so
You remember what?
Say again?
You remember what?
That I met him at the Legion,
Legion.
American Legion.
And you would socialize with each other, wouldn't you?
At the Legion?
All over the place. You guys were friendly, weren't you?
Yeah.
You were one of his best friends, weren't you?
I wasn't his best friend.
Oh, well, did you go over to the house and hang out with him?
Yeah, but that doesn't mean you...
Cigars, do you?
What?
You don't smoke cigars, do you?
No.
Did you go over his house and see that he would be sitting by the pool and he'd be smoking cigars and you'd have a beer or you'd have a drink with him?
Yeah?
On a number of occasions, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. And how would you describe your relationship with Harry?
I think we were friends.
Good friends. And you knew that he was a doctor working in Boston, right?
Yes.
You were also, were you good friends with Ms. McLean as well?
Yes.
In 2019, up until 2020, for example, did you know...
At the end of the trial yesterday, you guys said the cross of this witness. They didn't do cross yesterday. You guys said day 2. Just tell me where to go. You guys, they didn't do cross until day 2 of witness. This is the third witness, and this is the cross of the third witness on day, and they didn't do cross until day 2. So where do you want me to go? Just tell me where you want me to go. No, keep playing this? Okay.
McLean were going to get married in August of 2019.
Yeah, they talked about it, yes.
Right. And you know also that Harry didn't get married. He took it off. He canceled it, right?
I guess he did, yes.
I guess he did. You talked to him about it, didn't you?
I don't really recall their conversation.
You talked to Katie by text about it, didn't you?
Some, yes. I don't recall.
He was upset about that.
Nothing's going to be spicy until you realize all the cross-contamination of the actors. Well, the only way for me to do that would be to watch the entire trial, which I wasn't really planning on doing. So if nothing's going to be spicy unless I completely understand the entire context, then I'm out.
Yes.
And then as time went on, they ended up getting married again, or getting married in December of 19, right?
I guess so, yeah.
Now, your telephone number back then, sir, was 617-201-4714. Is that correct? Yes. And that's the phone that you authorized the police to do a phone dump on, right?
Yep.
You knew that that meant that they were going to be able to use a particular computer-type program to access your phone and get text messages, videos, things of that nature, right?
Yes.
And you signed that form, right?
Yes.
And one of the things that they were interested in was whether or not you had communications with Kathleen McLean at 339-222-9407, right?
Yes.
And you remember that was a number, right? Yes?
Yes.
All right. And when you would go over to their house, would you stretch your memory and recall that in 2019, in the summertime, you had occasion to go over there a number of times, right?
I don't know how many times, but yes.
I'm not asking you how many times, obviously, but there were a number of times. You sit by the pool, right?
Yes.
Have a barbecue, right?
Yes.
It had a television set that was attached, and it also had the fire pit and everything else, right?
Yes.
Waterfall, right?
Yes.
Yes. And Harry built all those, didn't he?
Did he what?
Built all those.
Yes.
And when you were giving your phone to the police and they accessed your phone, sir, do you recall how many text messages between you and Miss McLean were on your phone when you gave it to the police?
I don't recall how many, but it was several.
So, right. Certainly not in the hundreds, right? When you gave your phone to the police?
I have no idea how many.
So, did you delete, sir, your texts between you and Kathleen McLean when you gave your phone, before you gave your phone to the police?
I don't recall.
You don't recall? But you knew that Kathleen McLean had been found dead, right?
Yes.
Yes? You knew that the police were investigating the homicide, right?
Yes.
You had indicated to the police that she had given you, strike that, he had given you a text indicating that she was a double, I'm sorry, things of that nature, correct? Calling you brother, right?
Call you what?
Calling the text that he sent you, calling you brother and saying, sorry, she was a double, she played us all. You remember that, right? So when you gave your phone to the police, you had that particular text that you gave them, right?
Yes.
That was about it. It was on your phone. What any other texts on your phone were there? Between you and Katie?
I don't recall what I did.
Do you remember taking your phone and deleting the texts? Hundreds of texts between you and Ms. McLean before you gave your phone to the police?
No, I don't.
Do you remember deleting the text from you and Ms. McLean?
No, I don't remember.
Do you remember deleting photographs or videos or FaceTime chats or anything like that?
No, I don't recall.
His voice is similar to George
You
Clooney's.
knew that in 2020, that they got married in the Elvis Chapel in Las Vegas, right?
In the Elvis Chapel.
I guess they did.
That just feels like peak bad decision making. You went to the Elvis Chapel drive-through and you got married in a pink Cadillac. I mean, that just feels like the worst possible decision you could possibly make. I mean, almost anything would be better. The Little Chapel of Love sounds better. You got married at the Elvis Chapel by Elvis in a pink Cadillac drive-through. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. That seems. Yeah. Okay.
Her texting you that they get married?
No, I don't recall getting
Remember
text.
her texting you and you going with the exclamation points, congratulations, and going back and forth with texts about being married. Don't tell anybody, things of that nature. She's saying that to you?
No, I don't recall.
I want to know, just out of raw curiosity, like what is the percentage of people that do the drive-through wedding at the Elvis Chapel with the Cadillac? What percentage of people then go on to have long, happy, fulfilling marriages? Is it a lot? Is it a lot percent? Is it a big number? Actually, I wonder if there's statistics on that. That would be interesting. I wonder if there's statistics that rank like all the wedding venues in Vegas in terms of the divorce rate. That'd be interesting. Like which venues have the best and worst divorce rates in Vegas? Feels like there's an opportunity there somewhere. Mm-hmm. I would rather get married by Beefish at the Beefish channel. Yeah.
All that, but
Okay.
if you have it on paper, then I guess it is.
Well, we'll see. Would you agree with me, sir, that you knew in your conversations with Harry, when you guys would maybe be sitting out by the pool, having a cigar, he had a cigar, a drink or whatever, he confided in you that he made a huge mistake about getting married, didn't he?
He said that?
Yeah.
I don't remember that.
A warranty. That's interesting. I like that. I wonder if there is a business opportunity for that and whether or not that would actually be legal. Like, could you sell some sort of like divorce prepaid option as part of the wedding package? If you structured it right, it'd probably be legal. If you could structure it right, it'd be legal. You could take out some kind of insurance in case you get divorced to pay for the divorce. I wonder what the rates on that would be. They'd have to be pretty high for the insurance company to be making money.
knew that he was going to see a lawyer for a divorce, right?
I mean, this was so long ago.
Your Honor, could the witness answer be allowed
I
to?
don't really remember conversations.
Hang on, sir. Go ahead.
May the witness be allowed to finish his answers?
Yes, just let him finish his answer, Mr. Reddington, please.
Of course. All right. Finish your answer. It's been long ago.
I don't even know where we're
All right,
at.
why don't you ask the question again, Mr. Reddington?
Back in June of 2019, sir, do you recall, let me back up. Can you describe for us what your understanding was of your relationship with Kathleen McLean in 2019?
Just a friend.
And you knew that she had moved in with her 3 children to Harry's house about a year and a half before that, right?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
And you knew that they were not married, but they were...
I mean, if it were me and I were going to go down this road, I think I would just do it at the courthouse. At least then it would be like less depressing. Or maybe like a more discreet chapel. I'm sure they exist. You know, one that isn't so quite gaudy and awful. Just saying, you know.
Obviously living together, right?
Yes.
And you knew in your conversations with Harry that was, she's living in his house as a living girlfriend, right?
I guess so, yes.
You guess so. Did you ever tell Harry that, for example, you would talk to her about getting laid doggy style?
Objection.
I don't recall that conversation.
Sustained. You don't have to answer that, sir. Just wait for the objection, please.
Taking, for example, the number ending in 9407, that's Katie, correct?
That's what?
That's Katie's number, correct?
Yes.
We just went through that. And your number, sir, we went through, ends with the 4714, correct?
Yes.
All right. Now, just like DA, I'm going to approach you with...
Mr. Reddington, can you show Ms. Beatty, please?
I sent it to you.
No.
If they were actually drunk, if they were that far gone drunk, they could make a decent case that the marriage is void for lack of consent. They wouldn't even have to get divorced. They could just void that. They could just void the contract for failure for inability to consent if they were that drunk. Also, something I would think that, you know, maybe the wedding chapel would be looking out for, but I guess not. I guess they don't really care how drunk you are. The ethics of this business operation are looking more and more sketchy with every moment. The ethics of the Elvis wedding chapel are looking questionable.
This is page 24. I'm sorry?
I sent the date, June 19th.
But there's hundreds of text messages.
Yeah, you know.
It's June 21st. May we approach?
Isn't that what Britney Spears did? Something similar to that, yeah. No ethics in Vegas? What happened to my audio?
No.
I'd offer this, Your Honor.
Objection.
Sustained.
For the record, then, I'd like to offer this to, as part of the identification.
Okay, it is. It's over for
Yes.
identification.
All right? Do you recall that you would have conversations, text conversations with Ms. McLean about Donna? Donna was your girlfriend, right?
We were broken up at that time.
What time?
We were, I'm not sure exact time, but it was, I think the time frame, I think it was around that time.
No, I'm just asking around what time?
I'm not 100% sure. I don't remember.
Say 2000?
We were on and off. We were on and off for.
All right. Do you recall that Ms. McLean would ask you about the status of your relationship with Donna, whether or not you guys were an item and talking?
I think she did, yes.
Yeah. And do you recall describing to Ms. McLean that you really didn't have much of a relationship with Donna, right?
Did I what?
Didn't have much of a relationship with Donna.
Oh, then we must have been off then.
Do you recall that on one occasion she indicated to you, sir, in your text messages, anything about her forcing him to fuck her?
No, I don't recall that.
And again, 9407 blue would be her, 4714 green would be you, correct?
Okay.
Could I see that, Mr. Farrington, please?
Excuse me. Pardon me, I gotta show that to you. What time frame was
6/21/19.
what is that?
I don't know why, but no, you're not.
Okay, you're gonna have to keep your voice up and make.
Not.
So ask him again if it refreshes his memory, Mr.
I'll ask you
Reddington.
again, does that refresh your memory, sir?
Well, I mean, reading it, I guess it does, but I don't remember the conversation, just what I see now.
Okay, so
Then the answer to the question is no, it doesn't refresh your memory. The answer to the question is no, it doesn't refresh your memory. Well, does it refresh your memory? Well, yes, except I don't remember the conversation. So it doesn't refresh your memory. Jesus.
your memory, by looking at that document, is not refreshed, but you do agree that that document shows text communication between her phone and your phone, right?
Yep.
Yes?
Yep, it shows it.
And no, you wouldn't be able to say that either, strictly speaking. It's like, I don't know. I don't know this document. I didn't create it. I can't authenticate it. Yeah, Lord.
So you're not as refreshing recollection, but so.
Don't mark it for ID. You can.
Okay.
Very reluctant. I'm not sure if it's reluctant. It's just not necessarily that he doesn't remember. He doesn't remember the conversation. I'm sure you've sent lots of text messages that you don't remember. And even if you saw it, you might not necessarily remember the conversation. It's not being avoidant necessarily. It's just you don't remember everything. Witness not totally sus. Well, the witness is very calm and yeah.
Do you remember in the end of June, June 28th to be specific, page 60, on your phone, 4714 and 9407 between Ms. McLean and yourself, that she was asking you about whether or not you were with Donna?
Maybe I'll just go to Vegas and hold up a sign that says marry me and take the first woman who comes along and see how that works out for Uncivil. Ugh.
You indicated that Donna was leaving for Vermont, things of that nature, and then you inquired as to whether you were invited over.
Inquires if I was invited over?
Yeah. The middle's alone.
Page, please.
I gave it to page 60.
Are you asking if that refreshes his recollection?
Yep, that refresh your
Okay, so
recollection.
read it to yourself, please.
So, does that refresh your recollection?
Yes.
Okay. And then your recollection refresh would be what? You asked her what?
Objection.
What?
Objection.
Okay, overruled. He may answer it. He may answer it. Just ask it again, Mr. Reddington, please.
Does that refresh your memory as to what you indicated to her, what you said to her?
When I was coming over?
Yeah. Okay, when are you inviting me over?
Yeah.
Okay. Just so I can understand, are these always going to be excluded after you just said?
That, if you want to mark that for ID, you may.
Okay.
The Q?
So So that would refresh your memory as to the fact that there was a conversation at the end of June 2019. And again, Harry wasn't part of that conversation, was he?
He was not in the text.
Well, and you knew that in page 73. And I can get the plastic sleeves, but, well, if they're an idea, it doesn't matter. Do you recall, sir, at the very end of June 2019, having a text conversation with Ms. McLean, again, at the end of June 2019, wherein she described in graphic detail 3 hours talking in every way, describing what they did. Remember that?
No, I don't remember
Did
that.
I tell you things like that? Do you remember?
Yeah, I mean, she jokingly said things to us. I mean, she would just say things in front of us, I guess.
In front of us. Okay, who's us?
All right, this is not
friends.
This is not spicy. This is boring as crap. Sorry, guys, with all due love, but this is not spicy. This is the opposite of spice. I can't listen to this anymore. It's too sedate and too quiet. It's not working for me. I appreciate that you guys thought this would be a good one for me, but this is not working for me. Maybe we can go design some merch anyway while we're doing something else. So let's design some more merch. All right, let's see. Keep going? No. I don't want to. It's not there yet? Okay, then where do I go to? How far along do I have to go till I get to the good part? Because I'm bored. So how far do I have to go ahead? No merch? I wasn't asking your opinion on the merch thing. I wasn't asking you. If you want me to watch something else because you think it'll be interesting, I'll watch something else because you think it'll be interesting. Tell me where to go and let me know what to watch, and I'll see if it's interesting. If not, then I'm going to design some merch. I'm going to do something else productive with my time. You're right, this is not it? Okay, so then I'm going back to merch. Okay, great. All right. Let's see. It's been a while since I've designed merch. Okay, don't watch. Okay. Let's see. Rocks and Yoga Panks, much watch the Brian Walsh case. In October, he could go to school. He can school you to hide, abide, and get caught. Same. CRT, HS. Oh, that's cool. All right, let's see. It's been a while since I've done this. All right. All right, let's see. Now we're going to design a coffee cup. Let's see. Create coffee cup. Let's create coffee cup. Okay, let's see. We can do a travel mug. We can do a travel mug. That's kind of cool. What else we got? Black glossy mug, white glossy mug, ceramic mug. I do like the ceramic mugs with the color inside. I like that design aspect because it creates some interesting choices. Enamel mug, stainless steel mug, cork coaster. Let's do with this ceramic mug with the color. I think that's fun. Yeah, all right. So let's design this. All right, so okay. All right, so I have to upload an image in order to do this. All right, so to do this, I need to go to Canva and create the image and then upload the image, I guess will be easier. That'll be the easiest way to do this. Let's go ahead and do it that way. Make sure it's dishwasher safe. I don't think it is. This one is dishwasher safe, so that's cool. All right, so let's go to Canva and we're going to create a new custom size, and we just need a square, really. So we just need like an Instagram post or something that's square. Let's see. Social media. Instagram. Facebook. LinkedIn. All right, I'll just create a custom size. Let's create it at, what is the pixel resolution of this going to be? I don't know. Let's say 700 by 700 sounds probably plausible. We learn from the misfortunes of others. I believe that's already on a coffee cup on my store. That exact thing. I believe that was already an item. So you're in luck. Come on. Canva's not loading. It's not loading the interface, so I can't design anything. Come on. Load, you bitch. Now the entire website's not loading. Just want to do something productive with my day. Why won't the website launch so I can actually design something? Damn it. Now the entire Canvas site is not loading. All right, here we go. Okay. I'll just create it in an existing thing so I can get something started. All right, so we were going to do you are muted and you are unmuted, right? Was what we were going to do. So we're going to do like you are muted. All right, so we want to create, let's say, all right, this text, let's create this in, you are muted would be red, right? So change that to bright red. We'll put this on a black background. What do we think about that? That's Lexand. What other fonts do we have? We could do this font. I like this font too. This is Baybest Nui. I like this font a lot. It's very clean. And then I'll just duplicate this. And do you are unmuted. And change this font color to green. Can we do any brighter than that? Grass green, green. Let's try grass green. Oh, that's definitely a lot better. Increase the line weight. Bolder font. Okay. Yeah, there we can do it in bold. Okay. Maybe a little bit wider font. See, what else do we have to work with? I don't know about that. Let's see, what else do we have to work with? Impact. Okay, impact is a little bit better. Smaller. In order to make this work, I'm going to have to reduce this size a lot so that makes, yeah, so I'm going to have to, yeah, that unmuted. So I could do that. It's a lot of wasted space though. I don't think I like this font. Let's see, what else do we have to work with? Uh, okay, that's kind of cool. Can I reduce the line spacing? Yeah, I can change the line spacing. You think the words need to be closer together? That's spacing of 1. Let's give that a shot. What do we think? I think I like it. I think I like it. Yeah. Cool. All right, we now have a you are mute. We now have the you are muted, the muted, unmuted, color changing mug. Can I wait, let me edit this product. Okay, because I can, so just the green. Okay. All right, so that is now available for purchase. The you are muted and you are unmuted coffee mug. So you can display that at work and yeah, that's pretty cool. I like it. All right. Well, that was fun. All right, guys, I'm going to go ahead and sign off. I'm tired. But I've had a fun day. And I will tune in and see you guys later. Hope you guys have a good weekend. And if I don't see you, until later, my friends, I've been Uncivil Law. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.